Okay, doing some shopping. Okay. Checked another website. That sucks. What the hell is going on? What's going on, everybody? My name is Matt, often called Big Nerdy. Together, we are the NWO, the Nerd World Order, and this is Nerdzoic. So have you noticed the trend of pre-orders lately? They go up, you get the notification, and then like an hour, 2 hours, sometimes a day later, they're gone.
It's gone. It's all gone.
It's been happening a lot lately, whether it's new releases from Hasbro, reruns from Hasbro, or literally anything DC from McFarlane. What is up with this? Because we just got done never seeing this happen for the last few years. And it's clearly not a one company thing because it's happening both with McFarlane and Hasbro. One of the things I see asked a lot, and all the scalpers and the resellers out there, they're getting a lot of the blame for this. But is it them? To answer that, we need to revisit something I made about a year ago. I think I called it the production pendulum. That's patent pending. To give a quick synopsis of what I mean by that is, if you think of the production of toys, or really any product, like a pendulum, it swings back and forth. Whenever sales are really strong, and it's like, wow, man, we just can't keep this stuff on the shelves, they pull the pendulum back and they make a ton. But what happens? Then stuff ends up sitting. It goes to clearance, and they start having to hold on to inventory. They're like, oh no, we gotta cut production. And rather than doing it gradually, no, the end of the pendulum, that thing's heavy, and that thing goes, and then you go this way. Now the pendulum's going that way, and basically now you've made production too tight. So yeah, that's like my general way of explaining this. And that's where we are now. We're on like the far end of the product pendulum where we're not getting anything made in any great quantities. And don't get me wrong, scalpers are for sure part of this, but they have largely been eliminated because a lot of stores, Nerdzoic, branding, Big Bad, even Hasbro Pulse, we have limits on how many people can order. So it's not even that. It's not one person ordering 40, except for maybe 𝐸, that could be happening there. So yeah, we can't really blame the scalpers too much for this. But there is a culprit, and he has a name, and his name is Ali, or maybe Ross Dress for Less, I don't know. But I think you know where I'm going with this. Lots of people were out there celebrating a year, 2 years ago when Ollie's and Ross Dress for Less were carrying Hasbro product for a third the original cost. And in years past, before I got into this business, I would have been doing the same thing. I'd have been like, I just got it cheap. I just got it cheap. That's fun. It's always great to have it. I now know that there is a consequence, and what we are seeing is the consequence. Consequences! Yeah, the consequence is that companies have had to say, oh wow, we can't afford to not make money, so we're gonna make less. So what I'm saying is, in many ways, playing the
I don't think I need it, I'll wait till it's on clearance, because it's definitely going to get clearance.
There's nothing wrong with that, but that game is what really has brought us here. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but don't be the guy blaming everyone else later when something sells out because you were playing clearance chicken with it. And it's because of that inventory overstock that McFarlane and Hasbro were carrying that they had to make such a drastic change in production. And they, of course, overreacted, and we are in that side of the pendulum. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands, but I'm doing a lot of it today. I'm like, what's that guy, the shark in WCW? Woo! Too much caffeine. I even have the good caffeine. Mrs. Nerdy made me a special coffee because I'm difficult. Now, while it is easy to blame McFarlane and Hasbro for this entire situation and having overreacted, and believe me, I would love to heap blame on them, and there's a lot of things we can do that for, but there are some other fingerprints on this, and that is all of the other big sellers have to submit a forecast of what they anticipate buying at the end of each year for the following year. From good authority, I heard that with Hasbro, at least, I don't know much about McFarlane buyers, but on the Hasbro end, all of the major buyers, whether it's big box stores, EE distribution, Diamond distribution, even BBTS, they all cut way down on their product forecasts because they saw, wow, demand is down. Hasbro already kind of smartened from the inventory they were holding that was, costing them money. Now they also see, oh great, now all of our customers aren't going to buy as much. That definitely hurt. Okay, that also helps to explain the whole forced scarcity argument that I keep seeing in Facebook groups. And let me tell you, koi Facebook groups are like Mos Eisley Cantina.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
They're depressing. But anyway, so I see a lot of people in there. Of course, if it's not the scalpers, it's, oh, we're making scarcity on purpose. No, that is not how capitalism works. That's not how corporate greed works. They want to make money. They don't make money by making artificial scarcity for things to go up on the secondary market. That's how scalpers make money. That's not how Hasbro makes money. Under-predicting demand does not do that. The problem, again, is they made a decision and they went too far in that decision. It was gonna happen no matter what. It always happens. It's happened so many times over the last 20 years in this industry, I can't count them. I saw it as a collector before I was in the biz. Like I said, it's inevitable. It's like they're always being too sick. So it is written. Speaking of the biz, you're probably like, oh, this must be great for the retailers. It's like guaranteed sales, right? Wrong. You could not be more wrong. Are the sales awesome right now because everybody is ordering and pre-ordering quicker? Yes, it's great. Is it cool that there's more pre-orders because of this? Yeah, that's great for business. But two things have made this worse. And I would actually go back to, well, I don't want to go back to where the product is like way overproduced, but I like to go back to the middle somehow. Can we get there? Two words. There's two A words actually. It's allocation and anxiety. Allocation, you might have heard that word before. You might not know what it means. I always heard it as a collector and I was like, yeah, I don't know what that means. Speak English. So here's me speaking English. The lead time on making toys is not the 30 to 60 day pre-order window. It's anywhere between 6 to 18 months depending on the company. And yeah, I know that's a big range, but that's because every company's different. Four Horsemen, if they greenlight production and have all the tooling done, it's usually 6 months or so, 5 or 6 in there, from when it is, go, start making the toys, till, oh wow, my toys are here. Hasbro's gonna be different because there's other licensing approvals, there's other steps. They're making a hell of a lot more, same with McFarlane. So let's just assume, for the sake of argument here, that it's a 1-year production time. Big boss, corporate bigwig over at Hasbro, whoever's making these decisions, is like, okay, cool. Let's take the example of the Danny Kesh Ghost Rider bike 2-pack from Marvel. So that one went up, sold out everywhere, now it's for pre-order again. Let me explain to you how that all happened. A year ago, when the decision was made of how many to make, they were like, okay, wow, all of these stores are forecasting they want this many, add a little buffer on, so we'll make 10,000. Then that guy's boss is like, no, it's too many. You see our inventory, cut it down 20%. Now we're gonna make 8,000. And again, these numbers are fictitious. They're way more than that with Hasbro, not with McFarlane. So in this scenario, they're making 10,000. Then they do the launch, and all of a sudden, holy crap, Pulse sells 2,000, Big Bad sells 5,000, Nerdzoic sells 100. Let's be realistic here. Then everybody else, then the distributors are like, I'll take 400, I'll take 600. All of a sudden, Hasbro finds themselves with 25,000 orders for 10,000 pieces of product. Oopsie. And this is where allocation occurs. Every company does this differently. I don't buy direct from Hasbro for most of my purchases. Some of them I get direct, the rest I buy through another distributor. What ends up happening to them is they'll get cut. They'll say, I want 400. And then the Hasbro will turn around and say, you can have 200. Where do they get that number? They're basically dividing up the stock based off of everyone's previous orders. There are companies out there that do first come, first serve, but that's a whole nother story because that's actually not better. But most companies will allocate based on your order levels. So now, okay, I wanted 200. Now they're telling me you can have 100. Now they have to allocate too. So my distributor's got to then allocate to their customers. Now for my distributor, I think their top Hasbro customer, so I usually don't get too much at that point, but the cutting happens. So now this is where the anxiety comes in because I have to factor into my ordering how much I'm going to get cut. So currently I'm getting cut off at around 60 or 70% of what I order from McFarlane and Hasbro. So if I need 60, I order 100. Don't get me started on reruns. Reruns, I think I'm getting about 1/3 of what I order. And that brings us to the other piece of this. The other piece of this is when it's like, holy crap, they want 25,000, we made 10,000. Now we get into the situation where it's like, wow, we're leaving money on the table. So an emergency run is greenlit. When an emergency run is greenlit, that's where you usually see the massive pre-order delays happen. And I had this a lot when I first started the store because I didn't know any better. I just took my orders and I was like, yeah, I'm getting it all in April. But then over year after year after year, I figured it out and I learned. So now I cut my pre-orders off based on what I think I'm going to get from my initial run. I don't know what you want to call it, the second production push that I get later. I don't pre-sell that because it is absolutely not guaranteed. And not only is it not guaranteed, the timeline, it's like, what do they call it? Like throwing darts at a fat kid? No. Shooting pigs in a barrel, something like that. You're not going to guess it. It's awful. Like, remember the Thanos Iron Man 2-pack that was like announced 3 years ago and then finally shipped from many places last year? Great example of that. So I said there was 2 A words, and the other one's anxiety, like I said, and that's because of the allocation, because they don't tell us what we're going to get until it ships. So it's not like I say, hey, can I get 200? And they say, no, you can have 120. And I say, okay, I'll sell 120. No, instead it's more like, me sitting there on the day it comes out, watching the sales come in, then looking at the other stores, and then we play, like, oh, look, Big Bad sold out, okay. EE sold out, pull it, turn it off. So that's when I'm like, okay, gotta turn it off. Check and see what I ordered, sold. Great example is Captain Rex. I sold 88, sorry, I got that wrong. I'm like, oh my God, they might cut my order in half. So I ordered 208. I don't know what's gonna happen there as far as how many I get. There's a world where I end up with Captain Rex, like, making up walls of my house because I have so many cases. And I'm okay with that as long as I get enough to fill the pre-orders, which I should. So yeah, that's a total look behind the scenes of why pre-orders are selling out, what allocation is, and in the words of Stone Cold Steve Austin,
and that's all I got to say about that.
Hope you didn't hear too much of my ice. But remember, you gotta get old. Trust me, I'm going through it now. But you don't have to grow up. Never have. All you gotta do is be cool and stay nerdy. Later.